everyone, welcome to Find Your Flow. My name is Natalie and I will be guiding you through this gorgeous practice to find a little more space and a bit more length through our muscles today. So we're going to be oiling the joints and just moving in a way that makes us feel good. So hop into something super comfy, get your at-home props, your blankets, your pillows, cushions, books. And for this practice we also have the option to use a strap or something that we can have at home instead of a strap. So if you have a tie or even a tie around your dressing gown robe, it can be a folded up tea towel, anything at all to help find a little bit more support in our practice. So whenever you're ready, we will come down to the ground, starting our practice in our Shavasana with our feet as wide as our mat and our knees bent. And just placing the left hand on the heart and the right hand on the stomach. Start to settle into this space. Breathing in, breathing out. That's all we're doing. Can we feel the space underneath the right hand and notice it as it rises and falls with our breath? Can we notice how this movement has a ripple effect up our front body, through our diaphragm, our ribs, to our heart space underneath our left hand? As we lie here, and we'll just start to deepen our breath very slightly. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose and completely filling all of the space in the lungs with every breath in. And letting everything float out through the nose as we breathe out. And coming to find a counted breath. We're breathing in for a count of 1, 2, 3 or 4. And breathing out for that same count. Just really being aware of each count, of each part of our inhale and exhale. Finding this deeper consciousness, connecting to this space, to our practice, to our mind and to our body, all through our breath. And we might like to explore taking our exhale a little bit longer if there's room to do so today, not straining the breath, keeping it nice and soft and gentle. Three more breaths here. And returning back to your natural breath in and out of the nose. Notice how it feels now. And can we set an intention for our practice ahead? To find this marriage between the sthira and the sukha, the effort and the ease. So as we come into postures, rather than pushing ourselves to find this final destination of the pose where we think we should be, or where we create this shape that might look good but isn't actually doing any good for our body. So really focusing on the experience and the journey transitioning into our posture rather than the final destination when we get there. Keeping everything soft. Gently fluttering the eyes open and keeping the hands where they are or taking them down by your sides, just releasing if you need to, resting wherever they fall comfortably. We'll float the knees over to the right and find our windscreen wipers. Coming back through center over to the left, easing through the lower back, the hips and the spine. 2 more times onto each side. Start to find this gentle flow-like movement as we wake up the body. And whenever you finish, coming back to center, taking the left leg out long or the foot on the earth, yogi's choice. We'll hug the right leg up and in, interlace the hands onto the shin. And then curl the forehead towards the knee, round through the spine. Taking a breath in and out. Releasing the left hand, taking the right hand to the knee and finding circles in one direction through the right knee. Keeping the head, neck and shoulders soft on the earth. 3 times one way, 3 times the other way. And the hand is really just there for a guide. So we're not pushing our leg around with our hand, but rather exploring this natural range of motion we have today. And coming back to center, we might like to use our strap here. And if we are, we can bring it around the middle of our right foot. Strap in the right hand, and we'll come to meet together in a half a happy baby pose. So bending our right knee generously in towards our right armpit, and either using the strap to find a little more space, or bring the hand to the hamstring, calf, or the outer edge of the right foot. Really listening to how this feels today. Staying connected to our breath, inhaling, exhaling. Just send the right leg from side to side, oiling through the joints. Motion is lotion. Nice. 1 more breath here. And then releasing the strap or the hand from the foot and taking the left hand and crossing it over to the right knee. And then guiding the right knee over towards the left side of our mat, keeping both shoulder blades rooting down to the ground. We'll start to twist through the center of our body. Notice where the right arm wants to be. Is it more comfortable staying here on the rib cage, or maybe if there's space, we open it wide. Gazing perhaps over to our right hand, if there's room here. Remembering to ease into this practice. 1 more breath. And floating back to center, hugging the left leg in, right leg out long or foot on the ground. Hands interlace around the shin, then curling the forehead towards the knee, rounding, breathing in. Breathing out, releasing. Left hand comes to the knee, we find our 3 circles one way and 3 circles the other way. And start to notice if one side feels really different to the other, and just accept that, embrace that, without judging it or wishing it were any different. We're amazing right now for anything that we're able to do, so just keep this soft. And whenever you've finished, we'll meet back in the center. Bringing the left knee towards the armpit, and as we kick the foot towards the sky, either taking our strap or placing the hand wherever it falls naturally. And notice if the lower body, that the glute space starts to round off the mat, and maybe we curl the shoulders and head and neck away to try and hoist ourselves into this shape. Notice if we do this and actively release. Maybe taking the hand a little bit lower or releasing your grip on the strap and just sending the left leg from side to side. One more breath here. Before floating to center, releasing the foot. Right hand crosses over to the left leg. We guide the left knee over towards the right side of the mat, keeping the shoulder blades rooting down really heavily, finding our twist. Noticing where the left arm and the gaze are. And just breathe here. One more breath. Before floating all the way back to center, taking the soles of the feet together, opening the knees out wide in a Supta Baddha Konasana. Noticing the space around the lower back, and if it's really arching off, maybe collapsing here and putting pressure on the lower back. Can we notice this, finding a long line from our pelvis through our spine all the way to our head and neck. And sending our arms out wide. We'll keep giving our hips all this lots and lots of love in our bound angle pose, but then lift the head, neck and shoulders off the ground, finding this connection to our center, arms hover. Notice if the neck's crunching forwards or collapsing back, can we bring it so it's an extension of our spine? And float the left hand over towards the left knee, finding this engagement through the obliques and the side of the deep abdominals. Will float back to center, over to the right. Nice. 2 more times to each side, finding your flow. This wave-like motion. Nice. Coming back to center, reaching both fingertips forwards towards the toes, lifting a little higher if we can. And then releasing, using the hands to guide the knees back together, hugging them in towards those hands, come to the hamstrings. Tucking our chin towards our chest, we'll roll up and down the length of our spine, taking as many rolls as we want to here. Really finding a fun with this, having a little playtime, exploring this, and coming to a seat whenever you're ready. Lifting the hips up onto as much support as we want to. I have a yoga block and a blanket here. You can use 4 cushions, 3 pillows, 6 blocks, whatever you want. Make this practice your own and really make it work for you today. So sending our right leg out long. We'll bring ourselves to the front of our props, so we're still finding this length from our pelvis all the way through our spine. And then bringing our left foot to the inside of our right thigh. We might like to use our strap here for the extra space. If we do, bring it around the center of the foot, wherever we are. We'll find this slight rotation through the ribs, taking them over the right leg. And keep reaching tall through our spine. Keep reaching as we start to fold. Stomach comes down towards the thigh. Rather than curling the head towards the knee and collapsing, it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of spaces here. Really think about keeping this length through the spine as the stomach comes down. Right toes lift towards the face. And being really kind to our knee. So if we're locking into this joint, it's putting a lot of pressure here. So bending it as much as we want to. And breathe. Whenever we reach a more static posture, we tend to hold our breath. So really explore and use all of the breathing that we found earlier when we were lying down on the ground. Inhaling, exhaling, lifting back up nice and slowly, sending the left leg long, right foot comes to the inside of the left thigh. Again, taking our strap, or just using the hands. We'll take our hands to the ribs, spiraling over to the left leg first, and then reaching tall as we crawl forwards, stomach towards the thigh, keeping the knee nice and bent, and our spine will curve slightly. There is a natural curve in our spine, of course, but what we're trying to avoid here is this collapse through the spine. So taking the shoulders away from the ears, finding space. 3 more breaths here. On your third and final exhale, make your way back up to your seat, taking both legs out long, using the strap or not. We'll reach, we'll lengthen, we'll grow a little taller and fold over both legs. Toes stay lifting towards the face, bending the knees as much as we like to. Soften the jaw. Maybe even smile here in your Paschimottanasana. Finding 1 more breath. Before slowly lifting all the way back up. And if you have space either side of your mat, awesome. You might like to come sideways on your mat. Again, coming towards the front of your prop and taking your legs out nice and wide. And if your legs come out wide and we instantly notice this rounding collapse, can we bring them a little bit closer together? We're not in competition with anybody here, especially not ourselves. So finding this space where we can really reach tall. We're obsessed with this length through the spine. So noticing this and bringing our toes towards our face, the softness in the knees. Fingertips come down to the ground. We might like to use some support to lift the ground up to us. And maybe we stay here, or we can walk our support forward. Maybe the fingertips come down to the ground. Maybe we start to crawl a little bit further. Maybe we come down to the forearms. Maybe that's for another day, 20 years from now. So just take a breath wherever you are. And then float all the way back. Taking the right hand down the right leg. Letting it fall wherever it does naturally. Again, we might like to use our strap here. And taking the left hand to the rib cage. The ribs open towards the sky. And then reaching the left hand towards the sky. We can keep reaching here or explore a fold over the right leg. And as we fold, if we have this desire to make our shoulder round forward and collapse, can we really resist this urge as we explore even more space? Our heart space lifts towards the sky. Breathing here before releasing, coming back and over to the left side. Left hand down the left leg. Ribs spiral open and right hand reaches towards the sky. And folding over towards the left side of our mat. Remember to listen to the experience of the posture rather than focusing on the destination. Breathing into our side body and the side ribs. And then floating all the way back. Nice. Using the hands to bend the knees, bring them back together. And just take a moment here to soften over the legs. And lifting back up, we'll come to a tabletop all fours. Moving our masses of props out of the way for now. Bringing our wrists beneath our shoulders, our knees beneath our hips. We're just going to release the spine here, finding a cat pose. We're rolling the tailbone down to the ground, arching the spine towards the sky, dropping the gaze. Taking a big breath in and then floating the tailbone high, rolling through the spine, tummy down, lifting our gaze slightly. Cow pose. Just moving forwards and back here. You don't need to rush this. So slow this down, listen to your body. Feel how this feels. One more time, we'll come through to our cat pose. And through to our cow pose. And floating back, neutral spine, taking our knees as wide as our mat, big toes come into touch, sitting the hips back and the heels, child's pose. Take what support you need here. Keeping the arms reaching forwards, we'll float the hands over to the left side of our mat. Maybe they reach off the mat, maybe the right hand comes on top of the left. Keeping the hips really rooting down towards the heels. Breathing in, breathing out, floating back to center and over to the right. And coming all the way back, pressing into the palms, rising back to tabletop. Floating the left leg back behind us, stepping it all the way forwards and coming into your lunge. Back knee can be lowered or lifted. Choose your own adventure. Listen to your own energy today. Taking a nice wide stance in the feet wherever we are. Floating the arms wide, reaching for the sky, then softening the shoulders from beneath the ears. Breathing in, breathing out. Taking the right wrist with the left hand. We'll fold over to the left side of our mat, breathing into this space in our side body. And then taking the right hand to the left wrist, we'll come over to the right side. Breathing in, breathing out, coming back to center. Right hand comes down to our prop or the earth. Left hand to the rib cage as it spirals open and then reaches towards the sky. Twisting. Breathing in. Breathing out. Finding one more breath here. Before releasing the left arm, turning the left toes out. Finding our lizard pose. So both hands come to center. We can lift up onto as much support as we would like to here. Or if we have lots of space, coming down onto our forearms. We're keeping this still for one more breath and then really exploring like a circle through the hips, rolling round, forwards and back. This is a really nice bit of oiling for the joints, so explore this shape and this movement. Listen to the sensations in your body as you experience this. Nice, then coming back to center, into your tabletop, bump the hips to the left, take the gaze past the right, bump the hips to the right, take the gaze past the left, coming back to center, floating the right leg back behind you, stepping it forwards, coming to our lunge on the other side, back knee lifted or lowered, fingertips float high, softening the shoulders, we find our lunge. Keeping this length through our spine, this connection to the earth through each of the 26 bones of our front foot. And then taking our right wrist with our left hand, we'll fold over to the left side. Coming back to center, taking the left wrist with the right hand, we'll fold over to the right. And coming all the way back, left hand down onto your prop or the earth, right hand to the ribs as they spiral open and we twist. Right hand reaches towards the sky. Noticing the front knees, it's playing in or out. Can we keep the front foot gently planted, toes soft? Finding one more breath here. Before releasing, coming back to center, turning the right toes out, hands come together, and we find our lizard pose. So listen to the space you have on this side. Doesn't matter if we need more or less support, just being really, really present with how you feel. One more static breath here. before inviting this circle around in the hips. This feels so good. Breathing as we move. Make sure to float in both directions. And finding one more breath here before coming back to center, making your way into your tabletop, just sending the hips from side to side, around in a circle, just shimmy everything about. We'll tuck the toes under, come to sit back on the heels, reach the arms out long. And as we press down through the palms, we'll float the knees off the ground, lift the hips high, downward facing dog. Start to pedal through the heels. Find space. Remember, motion is lotion, so don't stop moving. And then coming back to center, we'll float the knees back down towards the ground, but hover them off the earth. Lifting back, downward facing dog. 2 more times, knees float down, hovering. And lifting back, downward facing dog. 1 more time, knees bend generously. And we lift high, downward facing dog, floating the left leg off the ground behind us, 3-legged dog. It can just be off the earth or it can be a little higher. Listen to where there's space. And try not to eat your t-shirt like I just did. Bend in the left knee. We'll carve a line through space with the knee, making a circle in one way, a circle in the opposite direction. Then float the left leg back down. Right leg reaches off, 3-legged dog, bending the knee. Making your circle one way and the other way. Before releasing both feet down, slowly floating the knees to the earth in slow motion. Can we move even slower? Hovering them off the ground just before they get there. Keep hovering. Keep hovering. Keep hovering. 1 more breath. And soften. Lovely. Walking the knees back, shoulders forwards over the wrists, coming into our low plank. Bending the elbows behind us. We'll come down to the ground. Taking our feet as wide as our mat, bringing the forearms to the earth with our elbows underneath our shoulder space. And as we press down through our palms and our forearms lightly, we'll lift our heart space forwards, keeping our head and neck an extension of our spine. And as we root down, we'll rise up maybe a little taller. And sending our left shoulder to the center, gazing past our right. Right shoulder to center, gazing past our left. And floating all the way back, finding 1 more breath here. Before releasing down to the ground, taking your arms nice and wide. Bending the left knee and walking the foot over towards the right side of your mat. And maybe we stay here, right leg's nice and long. We might like to bring some support underneath the left foot. Or perhaps we explore floating the left hand around to take hold of the left foot and kicking the foot away into the hand if this feels good. Again, just being really mindful of how this feels for us. Can we ease into this? Find the sukha. Notice our breath, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Inhaling, exhaling. 1 more breath. And then slowly unraveling, releasing, coming back onto your stomach. Just wiggle the hips from side to side if you need to. And keeping the arms out long, we'll bend the right knee and cross the foot over towards the left side of the mat. Option to take hold of the right foot and the right hand and kick away. Wherever you are, just breathing, being really present with the sensations you feel, and rather than instantly labeling them as good or bad, just noticing them as a sensation. Nice. On your next exhale, come all the way back to center. Bring the palms by the rib cage and start to lightly press up, coming straight back to sit in a child's pose, knees wide. And we can stay here in our child's pose with our arms reaching forwards. If we have a bit more space we'd like to explore, we can lift onto the fingertips, tent the palms, or we can bring the palms together as we walk the elbows forwards, hands come up and overhead. Or if none of these feels good, we really just want to take a step back, we can reach the arms behind us. Return back to our intention. Come back to this connection to our breath. In your own time, press lightly through the palms and come to find a comfortable seat, hips up onto your support. Whenever we arrive here, we'll float the right leg out long, hug the left leg up and in. So the toes of the right foot will come towards our face as we hug our right arm around the leg. We've got a few different options here as we come into our twist. We can either stay here or bring the left foot to the other side of the right thigh, or bend the right leg underneath us. And notice what feels most comfortable in your own body. Wherever we are, we'll keep this length through the spine, finding this rotation through our rib cage, rather than just hoisting our head, neck, gaze and shoulders back. So really notice, where is this twist coming from? One more breath here before unraveling back to center. Taking the left leg out long, hugging the right leg in and finding your version of this twist on the other side. Wherever you are, we'll hug the left arm around the leg. Right hand floats behind us. Keep reaching tall. 3 breaths here. Whenever you've finished, coming back to center. Moving your hips away from your support. And keeping the legs out long as we reach the arms forward, tucking the chin in towards the chest, rolling slowly down to the ground, as slow as we can go. Our spine touches back down on the earth, 1 vertebrae at a time. And whenever we get there, we'll hug the knees in, rock from side to side. Coming all the way back, left foot to the ground, crossing the right ankle over the top of the left thigh. We'll come to find a reclined pigeon pose and listen to your body as to what variation feels best for you. Maybe we stay here, or interlace the hands around the left hamstring, lift the shin parallel to the sky. Both feet stay active. Being really aware of if the shoulders, the neck start to curl up and really releasing. Maybe taking the hands back down onto the stomach space and releasing the foot to the earth if that feels best. Option for our last couple of breaths here to lengthen the left leg, reaching the heel towards the sky. And softening. Right foot comes down, left ankle crosses over. Again, notice where there's space today. Perhaps lifting the right shin parallel to the sky, hands behind the hamstrings. Wherever you are, can we breathe softly? We keep breathing with intention. Option to lengthen the right leg towards the sky for your final 2 breaths here. Before releasing the legs, hugging both knees in towards the armpits. Our last little bit of love before coming down into our Shavasana. So keeping the knees nice and wide. We'll kick both feet towards the sky, exploring our full happy baby pose. Notice where the hands lie. Feel comfortable here as we rock from side to side and just start to have a bit of playtime. If you want to lengthen one leg and then the other, then do so. You might lengthen both legs, but keeping this lower back and upper glute space on the earth. Wherever we are, finding 3 more breaths. And if you like, I've had enough, I've finished now, you can come to a Shavasana and we'll meet you there shortly. On your next exhale, release the feet and bring them down to the ground. You can either lengthen the legs long or bring the feet to the earth again, knees collapsing in towards each other like how we started our practice. Take what you need here. Closing the eyes or softening the gaze. Inviting this heaviness through our entire physical body. Asking ourselves how we feel now. And forgetting what surface is actually beneath us. Everybody coming to imagine that we're floating on a fluffy white cloud. This protective support from your cloud is cocooning every single part of you, from your toes to the crown of the head. Is your cloud warm or cold? And is it lifting away from the ground, maybe floating into the sky, or staying close towards the earth? Wherever you're finding your support from, really imagine this. Really connect to this picture in your mind. Letting the breath come and letting the breath go. Staying here for as long as you'd like to. But if you have to boogie, thank you for joining me. We'll bring the palms together towards the heart space if this resonates. honouring the divine light in each and every one of us. Thank you for joining me today. From my heart to yours, Namaste.